Sweet. Hello, everybody. We are officially live. Welcome to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. I am so thrilled, and we were just having a blast of a conversation off the camera, and I can't wait to bring that energy into this whole entire interview and this entire just conversation. It's going to be great for chiropractic students and early recent graduates and those just starting out and really, kind of trying to get the bare bones of what's going on and how do I, be the best version I can be so I can serve as many or, just the best that you possibly can. And Dr. Amy Haas is with us tonight. She is tuning in from Southern New Hampshire. And we were just speaking. She said if she makes any weird faces or you hear snoring in the background, that it's her dog Roxy. And Roxy has some tummy issues tonight. So we're gonna keep Roxy in our minds here and send her some positive vibes. I also want to give a quick shout out before we go and thank our initial sponsors to all of those students out there watching this that are my classmates and peers and fellow students from around the globe taking National Boards Part 4 this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Good luck to all of you. Good luck to all of us. I know we're going to do amazing, amazing things. And if you need any great advice, reach out to Dr. Amy Haas for great advice on what to do. But she has phenomenal...
This is my right. That's my advice.
But she has phenomenal stories. Yeah, keep that one in mind. Keep that one's free advice. So we're going to talk all about chiropractic student transitioning to the doctor and the chiropractic practitioner that we will eventually be after we pass part 4 and get out of here and have some fun. So before we get started here and before Dr. Amy, I want her to share some of her accolades because she has an incredible educational past. And I want you to know where she's coming from because this is all heart tonight. She kind of stayed away from the research and the brainiac stuff, but we might get into some of it a little bit here and there, but we're gonna stick mostly to tips and tricks and golden nuggets for you chiro students and early practitioners. So, but without further ado, Doc, before I let you introduce yourself, I want to slide this ad roll on here, and we are going to do our best to share this as far and wide as possible. Awesome. To Inspire Women is the elite boutique coaching company for chiropractors who are looking to live life and run business in a way that is personal, unique, and authentic. They focus on business systems and money mindset mastery so you can pay down debt, be more profitable, and serve more people. Their goal is to empower you to achieve success by your own rules and your own definition. Head to toinspirewomen.com now because they know there's a better way. Chiro HD, superior cloud-based practice management software. Chiro HD is a user-friendly, all-in-one EHR solution built with one mission: to help you run your practice like a boss. Learn more at chirohd.com. Total Clinic Solutions is your go-to source for purchasing both brand new and refurbished chiropractic equipment, as well as phone support for repairs and maintenance. Call Derek and allow him to combine your wishes and his 23 years of chiropractic equipment expertise to find what's best for you and your patients at 704-622-4089 or head to totalclinicsolutions.com now. It's time that chiropractors look beyond spinal alignments and measure the nerve connections that keep our patients feeling strong and performing at their peak. CLA designed the Insight scanning technologies to transform exams and generate powerful reports that give practitioners the certainty they have been searching for. Learn how CLA has partnered with practices around the world by going to insightcla.com. Spinal hygiene products are designed to educate your patients on the importance of lifetime spinal care. To learn more about how spinal hygiene products work and to download the patient education material for free, visit spinalhygiene.co. Again, that's spinalhygiene.co. Easily share your passion for chiropractic and look good doing it with Above Down Apparel, offering a premium lineup of principled apparel that's impossibly soft, sustainably sourced, and chiropractic AF. Visit abovedown.co and follow them on Instagram to learn more and score yourself some sweet chiro swag. Sked is the all-in-one system that allows for amazing control and flexibility of your scheduling. Yes, your next new hire. Every aspect of when and where you service your customers is at your command. Sked is tightly integrated with your existing EHR system. This software was made by a chiropractor specifically for chiropractic. No joke. Go check out their latest care plan feature by heading to go.sked.life/legendarypod. Health Business Builders covers every aspect of building a health business both online and in a brick and mortar environment. Dr. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Dave Toohill and their team will help you on a regular basis to develop an in-depth strategy, plan, and accountability to not only assemble a plan, but also make it happen. Head to healthbusinessbuilders.com so they can help you get the results you never thought were possible. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program.
Cool.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. We are live, if you can't tell, with Dr. Amy Haas. She's tuning in from Southern New Hampshire. And I have been to New Hampshire one time, and we were on a northeastern road trip and had a blast. So I love everything northeastern. It's beautiful up there. Great seafood. I mean, my gosh, the oysters in Maine are out of this world. But Doc, without further ado, I want you to have the opportunity here to just kind of share a little bit about your past and really why chiropractic for you before we dive into any of the major topics here.
Okay, I'll make this super duper short and sweet. I'm Amy. Let's talk about them. That was too short and sweet, wasn't it? So I came to chiropractic as a second career. I was a scientist first. And I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do with my life for various reasons. And I was introduced to one of the most amazing chiropractors who was one of the only people who could take someone's world and completely shift it around, Dr. Stephen Franson. And one day I said, well, why am I not considering becoming a chiropractor? And then I started down that path, so to speak. That was 2004. That was the year the Red Sox won the World Series. And it's been an interesting journey since. School was challenging. What you guys are up against is harder than most people recognize. And I'm so sorry that other people don't recognize how difficult it is. I do. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Part 4, it's going to hurt. You'll be fine. Be calm. Remember left from right and just get through it. I promise you it's better on the other side.
I love it. I love it, Doc. And so Dr. Amy comes from a wealth of knowledge. And, you went, like you said, you were a scientist previously. And you have your master's in science. You have your master or your PhD in biochemistry, I believe. And so...
I love it.
And so it's really fascinating all the time to me is like, how do people discover chiropractic? And one of the most profound statements I ever heard was from Travis Corcoran, Dr. Travis Corcoran. And he said, look, people say all the time, chiropractic found me, right? And it's like, you chose this path. You chose chiropractic. You should own that, right? And I was like, that's so interesting, right? Like flipping the script just so subtly. It's like, yeah, I did choose to be in this position, right? Like I took on this challenge, and not a lot of people are willing to take on such a challenge. And it's like you and I did it, and so many other people, as we said, part 4 is coming up, and so many other people are doing it. And it's awesome to see because we need more chiropractors, more great chiropractors, more legendary chiropractors in this.
All of you who are watching this to go out there and make it happen.
Yes.
You passion to make the world a better place. We need for all of you to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I wouldn't argue, but I would state here before we dive in, like chiropractic is the up and coming thing for the last 124 years. It's been the best kept secret. And now people are finally fed up. Would you agree? Like, people are finally like, you know what? It's time for something new, and it's time for less invasive things right away. And I think that's right where chiropractic can insert itself and say, we're here. And so would you agree with that?
I would agree, but I'm going to very gently temper that. As you exit from school, you're going to come across a lot of opposition.
Yes.
And it's going to be gut-wrenching, and it's going to be heartbreaking. It's going to be really hard to deal with. So, and I agree with what Travis said. I chose chiropractic, and I chose it knowing full well what I was getting into. I walked away from a potentially very lucrative career to incur how much student loan debt? Talk about that. Now, we'll talk about that as one of the points, but whatever. In order to enter a field that was really not well accepted by my peers and my family. Basically, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And everyone I knew was like, you're insane. Why are you giving up a perfectly good career? And I'm going to say something's going to make people mad, but this is what I got. Why are you giving up a perfectly good career track to go be a quack? You're just not even a real doctor. That was 15 years ago. I still get that.
Yeah.
So while we have great opportunities in front of us as a profession, we unfortunately still have some preconceptions that we need to work our way past, and we have some opposition to deal with, and we need to deal with that gracefully and calmly and in ways that empower us rather than position us as the underdog.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. I suppose I didn't know how to say what I wanted to say. But we're going to talk tonight about hints for the new chiropractic practitioner, meaning recent graduate, or if you've been out for a while and you're like looking for a boost, right? And you're looking for, there are systems and procedures and everything, and we talk about all that stuff on this show, but this is really about how do you get all of that into 10 key points. And Dr. Amy Haas has done that for you, done that for us. And I'm really excited. I read through these and I was like, okay, this is my blueprint, right? Like this is where I need to be. This is what I need to be doing. And so I'm really excited to share those. So number one, Doc, we're going to just start here with number one and let the conversation flow and see where it goes from here. So we're going to, you say number one, and if anyone wants this PDF, I'm sure Dr. Amy would not mind me sharing this with anyone out there. Yeah. So if you want this PDF after we're done with the show, just message me, and I will gladly send it over to you. It's actually really amazing. So the first one is use a password manager and set up your backup scheme with care. So here's the thing, Doc. Here's the thing. We're diving right into some nitty-gritty things. I want you to kind of backtrack us to say, here's what all of those words just meant. What is a password manager? What is backup schemes with care? What is all this? Because as we go through this, I didn't want to jump too far around because I didn't want to forget anything. And that's like the biggest thing. When I get to lists, I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, right? Like I'm going right in order. But we can jump around and kind of we'll dive in, I'm sure, with other ones here and there as we go here. But talk to us about just first and foremost, what does this mean, and why is it important to keep stuff updated like this in your office?
Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a preface first. Marketing, advertising, practice management are all very important, and you can get those many places. That's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about just the little things behind the scene that can make a big difference in your practice when you create it and why. So in order to communicate the importance of having a good backup scheme, I'm going to tell you what happens when you don't.
I like that.
So my database crashed at one point, and it became an absolute nightmare. I had to recreate a lot of stuff that I never should have had to have recreated. And it took a lot of time and a lot of effort as I was still delivering patient care and trying to make everything so run. And if I had just done the simplest thing, which is set up an accurate or good backup scheme, I wouldn't have had to spend the weekend on the phone with my, I use Mac Practice, and they were wonderful. trying to restore a damaged hard drive and, restore as much data as possible and discover there was no way and say, oh crap, when was my last valid backup? Okay, it was a week ago. That's a problem. How am I going to do this? So first and foremost, assume that any computer that you're going to have in your practice will crash. Once you make that assumption, you know that you have to have a little external hard drive. I use Macs, so mine is by Time Machine, but there are carbonate backups and whatnot that you can do for your PCs. So have not just a primary, but a secondary backup, kind of like belt and suspenders, because you never know when you will need them. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you, you will. So just know that going in. And when you do, you'll be like, oh my God, thank God I had the foresight to make sure that was all set. I have my database backing up every night automatically to an on-site server. That backs up to Time Capsule automatically, so 2 different places. And I have an off-site server that I have used. It's not active right now, but it's in 3 different places. So that's a little bit overdone. Nonetheless, you see where I'm going with that. So backup scheme, that pretty much covers that. The secondary is having a battery backup for power outage. Because if you've ever had to bring your server back up online when you're in the middle of your busiest patient shift, you'll want to, have a battery backup to avoid that problem next time. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. So very simple thing to do that you can get them for $60, $100 over at Best Buy or Amazon, whatever the crap. That prevents your computer system from causing a lot of big problems. And then password manager. I'm a little bit more old school than many of you guys, so many of you guys probably already have password managers. I used to write everything down, and then I kept it in a file on my computer. And then I think at one point, I forget, I had a yellow manila file folder just full of passwords. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, one question that you want to consider is if you use a Mac or a PC, it will save your passwords for you, which on the surface seems fine. But ask yourself this: if someone got a hold of that password, would you incur a HIPAA violation? Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, you can't store it on your computer because a HIPAA violation is a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't store passwords on your computer to any sensitive information. A password manager is a heck of a lot better than a manila file folder, especially because you're going to have to update things until the cows come home, and you already know that. So build that infrastructure from day one, and you won't have to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Said.
Awesome. I love it. And that's the one thing I wrote down was that these are not things that anybody thinks about until it happens to them, right? And so that's why it's awesome. That's why it's awesome that you're on this show telling us these things, because it's like this is thinking ahead of, planning for the future. And like you said, you can go anywhere for marketing, business, and systems and procedures and stuff like that. But that's not what the discussion is about tonight. The discussion is about planning your future based on experiences and things that Dr. Amy has gone through and firsthand and said, you know what, there's a better way, and I'm going to share that with them now. And so I absolutely love that you said that. So password manager and a backup scheme, meaning that you back up all of your files in a couple different locations on your computer. And a funny story to kind of go with the backup whole thing was the moment I know when to back up my computer is when my brain and my gut start just communicating. They're like, you should probably back up your computer. And every morning or every time I get on my computer, I'm logging in. I'm like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And then finally I'm just like, I got to do it, right? I have to do this, but because I don't have my external hooked up to my laptop all the time. So it's I got to actually plan time out to back it all up. And so I'm listen to yourself, John. You've made this mistake before. It's like, don't.
You made me think about that.
Yeah. Don't mess with your brain. Like, if you're thinking like it's time, right? It's past time to back up your computer, right? Like, don't wait until your brain and your gut start talking to you about backing up your files. And yeah.
Can I add just a little bit to that?
Of course.
When you guys get into practice, you're going to be dealing with, I refer to them as the 10,000 things. You've always got 10,000 things on your mind. Something's going to slip. Automate the bleep out of everything you can. So you don't have to remember to do a backup because it's already done. You can check in every now and again, make sure they're all going, but just make sure everything is regulating itself.
I love that. Automate as much as you possibly can. And that's a great idea. And with technology on our side here, like, we're coming out, I spoke with Dr. Dave Toohill all about technology and like where we are coming out of school versus like generations before us, right? We know this technology, we know how to run and operate certain things, but there's still things, like you said, 10,000 things. There's still things that you're going to forget, and that you have on your plate and you're juggling at once. So having things automated, having these things in place and these backups in place is really, really important for you and your practice. Number two, Doc. Number two is new patients, right? And I love what you said here. I love this line. Focus on the back door as much as the front door. I mean, that says it all. Like, if you can think about what does that mean, right? Like, as a person who's now peaking and, watching, new patients come in and everything like that, but also learning what this doctor who I'm peaking with, Dr. Sam Clavel, who is doing to like retain patients and share a camaraderie and share, family stuff and everything like that. Like, so talk to us, Doc, about, retention and running a sustainable practice through this way.
It's a pretty big topic. So I'm going to start with this. Think about the amount of energy that it takes you, emotional energy, time energy, physical energy that you invest in order to introduce a new patient to the value of your type of chiropractic care. That's a lot of energy. Would you rather expend energy doing that over and over and over and over again? And a certain number of people will accept your care, a certain number of people will not, and that's the nature of the beast, versus form a relationship with the people who do want your care and enhance their understanding of the value that you provide to their lives so that they want to be in your practice. You are their most trusted healthcare advisor. You're their go-to. And that's something that has really brought a lot of strength to my practice. And I can't take credit for this concept. It came to me from Dr. Jenny Bruck, who's one of my neighbors here in New Hampshire. And when she said that, I was like, why does everybody focus so much on new patients, new patients, new patients, new patients? That's not a stable business model, so to speak. A stable business model is built on relationships and value for value exchange, which generates steady based income rather than you have to go get some new patients in order to pay your rent. That's a tough place to be. I mean, everybody's there when they first start their practice, and there's no way around it.
Right.
No way around it. So creating that relationship with your patients, and that's not even necessarily as much about sharing about your personal life or getting on a personal level. It's more about tuning into them and tuning into what they need, what they're looking for in their life, and filling that purpose for them. And maintenance care versus corrective care is an interesting question. It's that transition between someone starts to feel better so they don't feel like they are going to want their care anymore. And actually, this past weekend, Dr. David Steinberg was over at my Massachusetts for Alliance for a Chiropractic Philosophy. He was talking to us, and he said something that really, really rang true with me, describing the value of maintenance care to patients in a way that they understand that they want to continue with care, or to people out in the public who are like, why would you see a chiropractor the rest of your life? Well, two things to think about that may be helpful to students in the audience. One, if you get a haircut and you really like that haircut, what do? You maintain it. you go back and you get your hair cut again, because what does hair do? It grows. And that's just a basic form of maintenance. We undergo stress in our lives all the time, physical, chemical, emotional stressors. You're about to have a big stressor this weekend. So getting adjusted helps to restore your body to the level of function that feels good, that you have adaptability and resilience. Another example is getting your teeth cleaned. Sure, you get your teeth cleaned every 6 months because you know that's good for your dental health. You also get your teeth cleaned every 6 months because they feel better.
Right.
And you like living your life that way with clean teeth.
Yeah.
So those are two things to think about when you're building your relationships with patients, to make sure that you're providing something that they can feel, sense, and know that they want in their life.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah.
I will dive into that now.
Go for it.
Secondary question, what is the product of your adjustment? And that's something to very carefully think about. If you adjust someone and you have not said to them, okay, I found a subluxation here. Can you feel this? Poke, poke. They feel it. Okay? We're going to adjust this to correct the subluxation and restore the proper tone in your nervous system. And that helps to restore your adaptability and helps your body to be healthier. And then you adjust the person, they hear a popping noise, and you walk away. What was the product of your adjustment? It was the pop.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you stop there and you don't say anything, you just screwed yourself. So instead, if after you adjust, you go back and recheck and you say, oh, you can feel that area is more compliant, there's better allotment, there's better movement, there's better freedom. Do you feel that? Yeah, I do feel that. Okay, so move that around. Oh yeah, that does feel a lot more free. So at least you've taken it from the level from popping to at least a sensation, something that the patients can connect with, that they know has immediately improved. There are many different ways to do that. One classic way, we have a lot of people with anterior head carriage, forward head posture, have them stand up next to a wall before your adjustment. Try to make themselves centered in gravity, and they'll recognize that takes a lot of energy, effort to do that. It feels like a challenge to do that. And then tell them to take a deep breath in, because we know that anterior head syndrome decreases breath capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So two things right there. They notice that they're not breathing very deeply. They notice that it's an effort to stand up next to a wall. Do the adjustment, verbalize that you're correcting vertebral subluxation, do a post check so that they feel something has been corrected, something has been changed, and then retest. Put them back against that wall,
Yep.
Have them breathe. When you do that, you notice I stopped with crunch, you're good.
Right.
Versus, okay, here's your outcome. Can you feel you can breathe deeper?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it's easier for you to relate to, adapt to gravity? Just saying. I had to stick that in there. Can you feel that something has distinctly changed? So that's not pain-based, that's function-based. And when you share that overall value of what the adjustment is doing to restore normal function in the human body and hook their brains into that, rather than, my back feels better or I heard pop, then you're actually conveying the value of your care in a way that people want that in their life.
Yeah.
Because people want to stand up straight, people want to breathe.
A little bit.
A few times a day, once or twice.
It's a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And it changes the entire dynamic of your conversation. It changes the entire dynamic of your office, right? If you're sitting there and you're having these, what we'll call table talk with a patient about the function and adaptability of the spine and the nervous system and the human body, that's a complete different conversation of where does it hurt today?
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy. It takes practice. And when you start doing this in your own practices, don't give up. You really think through the concepts and think about how to connect with people, how to verbalize that, how to answer questions. this is how I run my practice. And if this is on my wall, so a couple of my patients are probably watching this right now. And any of my patients will agree. We talk about adaptability all the time. We talk about the human body as a suspension bridge and make sure that you're able to adapt to the stressors in your life, and how subluxation is like a resistor in a circuit obstructing proper function, and that life is better when that your body doesn't have that. So if you get focused on talking about vertebral subluxation, specific correction, adaptability, and resilience, then you're converting chiropractic, restoring chiropractic to really what it is.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you don't do that and you don't do any post checks and you just go crunch, crunch, okay, see you tomorrow, then you're shortchanging chiropractic. And I hate to be blunt about that. No, I don't. You're shortchanging chiropractic. So if you don't use your words and describe the value of the adjustment and you leave it at crunch, crunch, pop, pop, powers on, you're hurting our profession. Stop it. Learn more.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes, no, you're good. I love it. I love it. That's the fire. That's what, that's why I love bringing people on here, because it's like you share your passions, right? And that's why I ask for topics from my guests. It's because I want you to talk about what you're passionate about, right? And it doesn't have to be on anything that you're an expert in. It's what are you passionate about, right? Share that with us, because that's where people learn. And then they can, deduce it as truth, as, knowledge, as whatever they want to take it as, and then use it and apply it to their own lives. I want to touch on a couple things that you said, because I wrote down quite a bit, but I'm only going to go over a couple things before we take another break quick. But the number one thing that I wrote down was the fact that we said that, we're having more patients coming in the front door. We're doing all this work on marketing, spending all this money on marketing and promoting and doing all these new patient exams for, whatever percentile you have of, we'll call it, quote, conversion rates of new patients, right? But then you get the crunch, crunch, pop, pop, and then you send them on their way, and they're on a corrective care plan and coming in 3 times a week, 4 to 6 weeks. And it's like, okay, now they have no idea. Once that care plan ends, they have no clue why they were there, except for they feel better now than they did when they came in. But you didn't really communicate that, other than just letting chiropractic and the adjustment speak for itself, when you could have retained that patient by communicating and sharing adaptability, sharing the knowledge of the nervous system, and showing them proof right there on the table, right there against the wall, right there breathing, right? Like all these different things that you just went over with us. That's really a great way, and I would argue one of the best ways I've ever heard to run a chiropractic practice. And so that ties me into my next point, that not only gets your patients and your practice members, whatever you want to call them, wanting to, be in your office and be there for health and well-being and adaptability and function, but it also gets those patients to stay there, and it also gets them out in the community telling all of their friends, all of their family, exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then that's in floods of new patients, and then you just have to hold the door open for the entire afternoon. And it's like all that, right? It's playing the long, I would call it. Would you agree?
Yes, and it's creating your reputation. What is it that you provide to people? Do you provide pop, pop, crunch, crunch, crack, crack? Or do you provide healthcare? Do you enhance adaptability as measured by PD and Q? Because you can measure. Oh, you can, and there's more than one way. I'll encourage people to start doing that.
I love it. So let's take a quick break, and then I told you this was going to take a while, because each topic has its own little component to it that just, lights a fire within me, and I can see within you as well. So we're going to quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to, I'm running some more what I'll call golden nuggets for you guys.
Awesome.
Dr. Stu Hoff, founder and president of ChiroSecure Malpractice Insurance, is the foremost expert in both risk management and risk avoidance. Understanding the everyday challenges of today's practicing chiropractor and the current public perception of chiropractic has made ChiroSecure the fastest growing malpractice insurance program of the last 28 years. Find out more at chirosecure.com. The IFCO is here to support you. Whether you are a chiropractic student, doctor of chiropractic, chiropractic organization, or member of the public, the International Federation of Chiropractic Organizations is here for you. Recognize and support your right to practice and receive vertebral subluxation-centered chiropractic care, and are here to ensure that right and access to that care throughout the world. Head to ifcochiro.org/legendary for more. Be sure to give our over at Chiro Hustle a listen. They are bringing together the biggest names in the profession and learning from the greats. Chiro Hustle creates a safe space where Chiro leaders share their stories and their passion with the world. Let's get hustling by heading to hustle.com now. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Sweet. Welcome back, everybody, to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. We are live with Dr. Amy Haas, and we just had a great conversation all about what you have to do to avoid epic destruction right away out of the gate. and to avoid but to attract and retain great, amazing patients through communication and showing them the power of the human body, which is pretty amazing. So we're going to go into point number 2 here, or point number 3 rather, and that is communication techniques. We're going to maintain this communication conversation here, and that's with to connect with different patients. How do we go about doing? And I know you mentioned in your PDF cognitive dissonance, and it is a major detractor in our field and everything. But I want you to talk on that instead of me just like reading all of that out loud.
Okay, so we can all agree that people think in many different ways. Kind of an understatement. So there are people who you might refer to as more right-brained, more artistic versus left-brained, more logical. If you present artistic information to a logical person, they're going to, I don't get what you're talking about. And if you bring logical information to a artistic person, that ain't going to work. One of the things that you need to learn as you're going into practice is how to talk to different people. There are certain people who want to hear the TikTok of when we correct vertebral subluxations, the tone of your nervous system will improve, and your innate intelligence will be able to do its job much better. So some, I'm going to say slightly more right-brain people will look at that ethereal concept and say, okay, that makes sense to me. That resonates with me, and I'm on board with that. Conversely, if you talk about subluxation, innate intelligence, and light with an engineer, you're screwed. So you really need to have different ways to address people who want to know exactly why and how. And one of the things I'll keep that I'll present to you is this one that comes from many neurological mathematicians, scientist types, which is a very one. You blah, blah, blah. Okay, show me the data. And if you can't show someone the data, done. That is cognitive dissonance in a nutshell. So we have an opportunity with chiropractic to show people the data because we do have it, and we do have it. But if we don't get it across in a way that makes sense to someone, and we create cognitive dissonance, what happens is some of these people who come into our office and we go the initial take and we present the idea of subluxation to them, and they go through, and then they're like, no, this isn't for me. Well, the question is, does it stop there? The answer is no. That person does not just leave your office. They leave your office presenting what it is that you do. Mm-hmm. And they're going to walk out and say, this chiropractor told me this crap. I don't believe it. And it makes no sense to me. I don't believe in chiropractic. We have a lot of that. And that's really difficult, particularly because I know chiropractic works, and I know that it works amazingly well. But how do we serve that to people in a way that they understand, resonate with, and can sink their teeth into? So it's different for every person. If you're working with a heart-centered yogi, you're going to talk about flow. You're going to talk about ease in the body and tone. If you're talking with a biologist, you're going to want to talk a little bit about, okay, well, if you have a structure problem, the structure problem will affect the nervous system. And that's what we're working with here. We're working with something irritating to the body, and we're going to decrease that irritation by restoring normal motion and position. And when you reduce that irritation, the nervous system will have less input coming in and will be able to do its job. So you see how the two very different ways to approach the same question? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. And it's interesting, and sorry if I want to warn everyone, like we're having Wi-Fi trouble, so if I'm staticky, like just ignore it, but listen to me. But what I wanted to say was like that makes so much sense because I talked with a recent student, a recent chiropractic graduate, Dr. Jack Goss. He's in Michigan. Phenomenal guy, great chiropractor, and we talked all about teamwork and building teams based on, all of these different communication styles. And are you how do you learn? How do you communicate? What do you do with your hands when you're talking, right? And all of these different facial expressions. What are your responses to people? And that's one big thing that, like, I say this lightly because it's the mistake. Even when I was talking to Dr. Amy before we came on the show, was like, she was like, yeah, Roxy's got, some stomach issues. And I was like, awesome. I'm like, no, that's not awesome. Like, that's, you got to work on that. And it's like, but even patience, right? And learning, even for part 4, doing a case history and everything like that. And just not sitting there being like, cool, okay, we got it, Yeah, you're getting data points, but also this is a real person in front of you, right? This is someone you need to care for and learn their communication styles by picking up on these subtle cues that not only you're giving, because they're picking up on those, but you have to pick up on what they're giving you, right? And that is really, really important when you sit down with a spine model and you look at somebody and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to open my mouth. And then you have to tailor your conversation of chiropractic to that person and how responding to what you're saying. Would you agree?
Yeah, that takes time and that takes practice. And as you guys are starting this right out of the gate, be patient with yourselves because you're going to mess it up, and that's life. Do your best and keep learning. It just takes, and at some point it's going to click and you're going to be like, okay, I just had a conversation with that person that I could see they got it. We connect. I understood what they were saying. They understood what I was saying. And then that person converts into saying, I want your care. And you're like, okay, to remember how that worked. Mm-hmm. Because I connected with that person.
Exactly.
And then different people just kind of making notes on how to form that empathy, that listening skill, that communication skill.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's all things that you can work on a daily basis, especially those of you kind of transitioning out to become a doctor in this time and, in this day and age. It's like if you're in front of somebody and you're in student clinic, if you're in outpatient clinic, if you're in your peak experience at life specifically or preceptorship, other places, but even if you're just graduated, like work up, practice this. And like Dr. Amy has said, it's not going to be perfect right away, and that's okay. But now is your time to learn, so you're not, in the future going back and being like, man, I should have, listened to Dr. Amy back then. Or you're sitting in a course paying thousands of dollars to learn, basic communication skills when you could have just practiced on your own and kind of trained yourself what worked, what didn't, and kind of play that game. So go ahead.
I just notice actions of people as you're talking, mm-hmm. and don't just spurt out a script. Don't just, this is what I'm going to say. Interact.
Yeah.
And start just noticing where people hook into what you're saying, where people to give you opposition. You'll see it as you start to notice. Yeah,
absolutely. And a specific example that jumps out was I was doing a new patient consult and just kind of talking to him about the spine, the vertebral subluxation, and like that. And they kept, pointing at the spine model. And, it was, okay, they need to touch this. They feel this. They need to be with this spine model. I was like, why don't you hold that, right? Like, why don't you hold that? And I'll show you while you are able to interact with what we're doing here and what we're communicating. And so picking up on those little things is really, really important. And
yes. If someone were sitting in your new patient consultation and they're sitting here like this, right?
Yep.
Or, their arms up like that, and they're like, right this, and they're kind of one shoulder this way. What they want, they're basically saying, use the words, show me with words, tell me. I'm listening, but you got to tell me.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely agree. I'm going to jump down on your list here. I want to talk about highlighting the uniqueness. Now we have the patients in the office doing maybe some marketing and trying to get new patients in the door. Highlighting your uniqueness in your geographic area. And a lot of people I feel like run to, and you might disagree with me on this, but a lot of people run to like Facebook and social media to say, I'm here, but it's like, I'm here and I'm doing this different, but are you really hitting those local areas that are really going to be the best impact in your community that you want to get in your office? And so I asked that question, right? Like, is the best strategy to just run to social media and say, hey, I'm here, I'm Johnny, I do this differently, right? And it's like, I don't know what it is, right? Go ahead.
I would agree. One thing that you want to do is think about your avatar. Who is it you want to serve and how specifically? I serve a lot of different people. I do. But I love to work with my fellow athletes because one of my core values is going outside to play. And I do hiking, biking, I do rock climbing. I want to be skiing. I want to be out there goofing off, having fun. Anything that gets in the way of that sucks. So as a result, I work with a lot of people who love to go out and do many different forms of activities. And that's what I help them with, to do what they love, to empower them to do what they love. So that's kind of my main avatar, and those are the people that I'm drawing into my practice. That's what makes me a little bit different. We have some fantastic practitioners in my neighborhood, and we're all a little bit different. It's super important to be respectful and friendly and cohesive with your fellow chiropractors who are working on, helping people understand the importance of correcting vertebral subluxation. Because if each of you does things a little bit differently, then you can cross-refer freely. We have Dr. Morgan McBain over at Hollis Family Chiropractic. She is an ICPA certified. So when I have people that are out of my area of comfort or expertise that are pediatrics, I'm like, go see Morgan. She's fantastic at what she does, and that is her expertise. You need to go see her for that. Mm-hmm. My friend Dr. Johanna Newbold is right on, she's at Catalyst Chiropractic, and she has some great energy techniques from SE, CMRT, and craniosacral stuff that she's, my dog is headbutting me.
Hi, Roxy.
She's like, me too, Mama. And I refer to people to her for her expertise. So Doctors Mary and Phil Philadro, and I'm sure I just massacred their names. Sorry, guys. So Mary and Phil, they do TRT, and I've gone to them. I've gone to each of these people myself, and they do fantastic work with instrument-assisted adjusting and tonal work. So each of us has our own niche, really, and you just kind of say, hey, this is really something. If it's something that's within your comfort, within your expertise, absolutely invite the person into your practice. And if it's not, make sure that you give them what's right for them. Make
Absolutely.
sense?
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. And it actually transitions a little bit into another topic on your points here, or your hints for new practitioners, is building an accountability group. It sounds like that's what it is, but it also, I know, goes beyond that, right? With like friends and mentors and things like that. So talk to us a little bit about the importance of accountability group and how to develop it.
You are the summary of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'm sure all of you guys have heard this in school. So if you spend time with people who are negative and draw you down, that's what you're going to become. But if you find people to surround yourself with who are hopers, dreamers, ambitious, then you're under that influence. I have a fantastic group of friends. I have my immediate chiropractic group around here. I have friends from school. I also went to Life University. I graduated in, I forget, and about 10 years ago.
I was like, didn't you tell us at the beginning of the episode?
I think it was in 2008, 2009. I think it was 2009. I don't know. It's unimportant at this point. I wish you guys the experience I just had. Oh my God, I wish that for you guys, that you are all 10 years out of school. Boards are behind you. You're 10 years into practice. You're doing what you love. You understand the power and the value of chiropractic, and it doesn't freaking matter to you when you graduated. I wish that for all of you. So I have my accountability group and my immediate friends around here. Then I have friends from school that we get together every now and again, and I can always call them. And then I have my group, the Massachusetts Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy, that we meet monthly, and that is my monthly brain heart recharge. And I'm glad to have all these resources because I'm going to tell you a little bit of secret. Your first 5 years of practice are going to suck. I'm so sorry. That's what it is. And you're going to need the support. You're going to need people to lean on. You're going to need people to talk to, people to sort problems out with, people to inspire you. So make sure you have that safety net around you way before you start.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you can start building that now. Like you said, you have friends from school, you have immediate friends and chiropractic friends and around you, but you also have, I encourage everyone to kind of find people that you really look up to and idolize within chiropractic. It's really important because that's kind of the premise of the Legendary Chiropractor in a whole, is to bring these people on like Dr. Amy who are considered legendary chiropractors and doing amazing things for chiropractic to advance the profession. And it's really important that you find people that you're like, I really, I jive with that person and I would love to chat with them. And I promise you guys, I've reached out to hundreds, if not thousands of chiropractors and chiropractic students just from the past, 11 months of the Legendary Chiropractor starting. And people are more than willing to help you if they can. And if they can't, they're more than happy to get you in touch with the right people who can assist you along this journey. Because we all know the struggles of chiropractic. We all know that people go through their different things, personal, professional, educationally. And so if you have this group of accountability and also kind of reliance, right? Like you can rely on them to be there for you, right? If you you fail a test or you do something in practice or whatever it is, like you have people that you can go to and kind of chat with about like, hey, oh my gosh, like what just happened there? And so it's interesting.
I'm just thinking about some of the things that my friends and I have shared in
the
course of the past 10 years. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk about the examples, but I get a phone call from friend X, Y, or Z, and they're like, hey, I just had this happen. I kind of need to talk. And I'm like, you did what? Okay, tell me about that. What are we going to do about this? And just, you can help each other troubleshoot. You can bounce ideas off of each other. You can smack each other upside the head sometimes.
Yep.
I've had plenty of people do that to me. Trust me. Thank you for all of you who've done that for me. Thank you.
I absolutely love it. And I want to encourage everybody watching right now. Like if you have any questions as we're going through, I'm going to wrap up with one last one before we thank our initial sponsors, and then I allow you to have like a little closing statement of like just some encouragement for chiropractic students and chiropractors out there, because we need to build this community up, and uniting is way better than conflict and tearing each other down. So I always like to end with the closing remarks of some positive vibes here. But I want to end with this. And this is interesting, and this is an interesting concept, right? Being cognizant of the distinction between blame and responsibility. And I know you're gonna be like, this is a huge topic to end with, John. But at the same time, I think it's really important because your question is really direct, right? Who is steering the ship? And before I read what you have here, I want you to kind of talk to us about what does that mean to you and how can we start applying this?
You're right. That's a really big topic. when you're working in a group, it's so tempting to be like, oh, that person didn't do this person should have done that. When you have your own practice and you have people working for you, it's so tempting to say, this person didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do that right. And I get that. That's a very natural tendency. And that's exactly what it is, a natural tendency to be like, oh, this person didn't do this. And that's blame. What I want you to really think about is, in the context of your practice, you create everything from the ground up. You are the sole person who is responsible. So if anybody does something wrong, it's not their fault. It's your fault. And it is your responsibility. If someone messes up a phone call, it's not their fault. You didn't adequately support them, empower them, and train them. So instead of saying, blame, you did this wrong, flip it around, look at yourself and say, how can I empower this person better? And that's the transition between working in a team where you are the leader and really working to promote a sense of well-being and accomplishment and just good things in your office, versus an environment where people are scared of you because they're going to feel like they're doing things wrong and they're accepting blame when it's really not theirs, it's yours. Yeah. I had that lesson introduced to me by one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, who's one of my accountability group, Dr. Pam Jarboe. She's been one of my mentors since before day one of my practice. And she noticed that behavior in me, absolutely correctly so, that I was assigning blame where I thought it was appropriate. And then she said, okay, and who's responsible? Pammy has this amazing way of just very gently being like, and here you go. Not being like, Amy, you're being a dork, but, which I was, but rather, okay, look at this from a different perspective. What else is possible here? And when she did that, something shifted in my brain. That's the only thing I can tell you. I went from this, oh my God, this isn't going, then blah, 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 to, no, this is my responsibility. Mm-hmm. If I want this done, I have to have clear verbiage, clear expectations, clear accountability, clear timelines, and, written instructions if that's right for the person, verbal instructions if that's right for the person. Whatever the person does is a reflection of how I have empowered them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the person who is steering ship, we've got reverb there. Is it on your end?
Say that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. But it's all good. Keep going. I can hear it. I'll take care of it.
Okay. So bottom line, it's your ship. Period. End. Anybody else who is helping to run the sales, who is, swabbing the decks, whatever, it's wonderful that they're assisting you, but it's your ship. And you have to take absolute full responsibility for everything, good and bad, that happens on that ship.
Yeah, I could not agree more with everything that you said. And the one thing I wrote down to further apply this for my chiro students who are currently going through school, this is might come off wrong. But anyways, take responsibility for your actions. If you didn't put the time and effort into studying for a test and you failed it, that's not the teacher's fault. I'm sorry.
Nope.
It's yours. And so learning, but the big lesson here and like the huge umbrella, right, is like learning to take responsibility. And what I like to say, the three important pieces and components of your life: personally, educationally, and professionally, right? If you can learn these different things in these different categories, your personal and professional will always go with you. And as a chiropractor, you have CEs and everything, so education will also come with you. And if you're a true learner and you love to read and figure things out and do research like you do, that is where your educational piece comes from. And so for all my chiro students out there, like, take responsibility for your education from day one. And that was a big lesson for me to do. I went to, like you said, you can see it on Skype. I went to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I tell the first quarter class every quarter that we're really good at two things, and that's drinking beer and eating cheese. And it's like It's like we
that's Wisconsin.
yeah, exactly. I take responsibility for that. Like that's that's on
And
me.
brats too.
Yeah,
Don't forget brats.
absolutely. But it's like it's learning and shifting when you get into this doctorate level program and sitting down with yourself and owning your actions and saying, I'm going to put the effort in. I'm going to get this grade. And if you don't, then you can be frustrated or upset. But if you put the effort in and you put the time in and you actually, know the information like going into the test, you can't come out of there as a failure, in my opinion. And that's a big difference because it starts here in the subluxation between the ears, as we like to say. And so with that being said, we're going up on an hour. I want to drag the last ad roll on, and then we're going to close out with some amazing, positive, inspirational things from Dr. Amy that she wants to close with. So yeah, we'll be right back, guys. Every chiropractic clinic needs a compliance program. If you are not sure what that includes or why you need one, let Dr. Robin from RHDC Consulting help you build your chiropractic compliance. If you are ready to get started, head to robin-hale.mykajabi.com and let Dr. Robin guide you to the end result. Imaging Services' primary business is chiropractic solutions. With over 45 years in the industry of helping chiropractors, Michael Tokash offers free consultations on building your business. In the past year, Imaging Services has installed over 100 X-ray machines and digital X-ray systems in over 42 states across the United States. For more, head to theimagingservices.com. The 56-day chiropractic boot camp, building badass female chiropractors who are instinctively successful. Head to 56daychirobootcamp.com/legendary for your free endless referrals cheat sheet now. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Sweet, guys. Thanks for sticking around and thanks for joining us if you're just hopping on. We're here with Dr. Amy Haas on the Legendary Chiropractor podcast. And we're going to give closing statements and closing remarks. If you have any contact information, Dr. Amy, that you want to give out, like whatever, if you like people want to reach out to you for more information about, your practice or whatever, you can always throw that out there and I'll try to type it up and get it on the screen for people. But closing remarks, Doc. I want to leave with some positivity going into the weekend for people with part 4, but I also want to leave with some positivity going for people who are just starting practice or who are watching this who have been out for a while and just need that a little pick me up,
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about integrity, and I know that's big at Life University. It was when I was there. So let's explore that as it relates to practice. It's can be a pretty empowering concept when it's applied. So before we get to integrity, I'm going to take a little bit of a step aside. I'm going to share something with you that I learned at the Landmark Forum. Have you done the Landmark Forum?
I have not.
Okay, it's really neat. It's an exploration of how people relate to the world. I'll put it that way. And one of the parts of the second Landmark, the Advanced Forum, was a conversation about the distinction between internal reality and external reality. Internal reality is what's going on inside your head. And there's plenty of ideas bouncing around in there all the time. And unless you express those using words, they don't exist. They exist in your head, but they are not real in any way, shape, or form. They are fantasy. Until you take those concepts and you put them into the form of words. Words are the ways by which we share ideas and connect and communicate with other human beings and form agreements. So taking your concept and distilling it into a word to communicate your idea is essential. You could put this as toddlers. Use your words. Just saying, integrity is at its simplest. I am my word. I do as I say. And where that applies to chiropractic practice is a very simple concept. Be very clear with yourself and with your prospective patients, your current patients, with your colleagues, with your family, be very clear. What is it that you do and why? I am Dr. Amy Haas. I stand for a world where people have an enhanced ability to live their life by correcting vertebral subluxations and empowering people to be more adaptable and more resilient, and therefore do everything that they love to do better. So that's part of my statement. And you could say that for any of your potential patients who are coming in. I'm Dr. Amy. What I work on is X, Y, and Z. And we're going to have a conversation to see whether you're a good fit for my practice and what it is that I do. Clarity and expectation and agreement. If what they want is not what you are offering, you have a mismatch.
Yep.
And by integrity, you're not going to make good on what they want. You're going to make yourself look bad. Don't try to convert them into what you want. Accept them for where they are. Hand them off to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of people out there who need your care. Don't invest your time on people who don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So have that conversation with people before they come into your practice about clarity, what it is that you do and why, what to expect. When people are in your practice, continue to use words to form clear expectations and clear boundaries. Boundaries are something that are not discussed enough in chiropractic. We always want to be the people who are going to help everybody at all times. And if you don't have clear boundaries, you're going to get stepped on, left, right, up, down, backwards, forwards. So think to yourself, what will I accept? What will I not accept? And that's a pretty broad topic, so I'm just going to kind of leave that there. But, personal boundaries, professional boundaries, when to say, nope, thank you, but that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have patients who want too much from you. You will have those. And if you continue to give too much, you'll get drained and you'll get burned out.
Mm-hmm.
So have that boundary to protect you and your heart. Be clear on what it is that you provide and be clear of the boundary of that. When you are able to do that, you will be in integrity. And in integrity meaning, here's what I do, here's what I did. See, I did it. It's really as simple as that,
Yeah.
Because essentially your integrity is your reputation. And your business is your reputation, and your reputation is your business. Your business is not the name. It's not a shingle you hung out. It's not your marketing plan. Your business is your reputation. And your reputation is based on as simple as do you do what you say you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do that and you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Good.
I love it, Doc. And it's if you live in integrity, I will add this to it. You will waste less time, energy, and money in the long run. I mean, it's pretty simple, and we're making this concept way more simple than it should be. But it's true. Everything you said is absolutely spot on, right? Do as you say, right? And that's what it is. And your reputation, I like that you added that because that was one of your points as well. Like you are your business. And chiropractic has a very unique, we'll call it a, quote, selling proposition. And that is the fact that if you choose to run on business platforms and systems and procedures or personality-driven, whatever you choose to do, you are still the person at the center steering the ship. And that is what people will see. That is what people see when they come in. And that is what people will know you as and by. So, yes, I love it all, Dr. Amy. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and watching. I really appreciate all of the listeners, the followers, the likes, the shares, the loves, the hearts, the laughs, everything that you can ever imagine. But thank you so much for tuning into the Legendary Chiropractor podcast. Be sure to head to thelegendarychiropractor.com for all of your chiropractic needs. And I just am starting to tell people, so I'm going to kind of say this at the tail end of this conversation, but we are in complete construction mode of our website, thelegendarychiropractor.com, and we will be coming out and releasing a brand new spanking beautiful, it's going to be amazing website come 2020. So please be on the lookout for announcements for that, and I will be, believe me, I will be all over Facebook and Instagram, sharing it all over the place, so no need to worry about that. You'll see it, but I want to encourage you to peruse it when it does appear on your page. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, watching, and sticking with Dr. Amy and I throughout this podcast episode. Love and appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I hope you learned something. Bye, guys. Awesome.